I think I find it very exciting. And for instance, this is the one actually I'm trying to make the. Actually, it's referring to one of the character in Dharamsala. There is a young Tibetan, young Tibetan intellectual, and he. I think basically, I think a couple of years ago, he said if one day the Tibetans are not going to get freedom, he's not going to take off this red band. So if one of you go to Dharamsala, I'm sure maybe you might bump him into in somewhere, like a bench or somewhere. So that was the young man, and also, actually, this image, the Buddha was wearing a mask, which is the famous mask for suicide bomber. Then actually, I made this mask. Actually, it's built up by a Chinese character. And then this is also one of the articles I came across from magazine from Dharamsala. And there is an article written by a young Tibetan, very angry article. The title was asking, where is the magic? Actually, he was asking the Dalai Lama, say, where is the magic for future Tibet? And so it was a very sort of extreme example. Then I thought it perfectly fit into that character. And then also the halo is bomb. Then I'm sure you can see it's sort of already lit up. Then this actually I did when I was doing my MA in London. Yes, there is a couple of years period I sort of completely gave up the Buddha, because I mean London was also another really, I mean I think in my life I have three culture shock. One of the first culture shock was when 84, when I finished my study in Beijing, when I came back to Lhasa. It was the first culture shock. Because I remember in 1980 when I left Lhasa, go to Beijing, I mean Tibet, especially in Lhasa, I mean there is no mention of practice of Buddhism. But after 4 years, when I came back, suddenly, I mean Lhasa has become a totally different city. The monastery opened and lots of people doing Buddhist practice, even my grandmother, which is I never seen. Some kind of scene. So that was the first culture shock. Then the second one, of course, in Dharamsala. It was the first time when I realized how rich, how overwhelming the Tibetan traditional art. I mean, the Buddhism, the history, and the literature, the paintings. So that was another culture shock. Then the third one actually is in London. 96, when I went there, it was the period which is the British young artist Brit was in the sort of fabulous period, and then the second year I came across an exhibition which is organized by the Sachi in the Royal Academy. It's called The Sensation, and so after I seen that exhibition, I think it's another culture shock, because I think that show really changed my view of how art should be. And so I'm after seeing that exhibition and after being in London a couple of months, I completely get lost and I couldn't really continue what I did. And then of course, I just let the Buddha or my spiritual work on the side, and then I was doing kind of experimental work. But still, as you can see, actually I'm still working with the Buddha, because this is actually I'm making a Western style shirt for one of those Tibetan deities, you know, have 6 arms. Then that one, obviously, also I'm making a Western style shirt for those deities have 5, 6 heads. And this is another project, I think we did it in 2006, about the railway, which was started from Beijing to go to Lhasa. And so probably I don't have to say much. I mean, it's obvious, all the stickers going into the Buddha, sort of building up. But I deliberately choose the sticker, which is lots of commercial goods. And so, yeah, then of course the halo, it's all text in Chinese about the railway project, and also, because I remember '96 when the railway is going to open, there is lots of media coverage and also lots of different views. So I translated quite a lot of them into Chinese and then put it on the background. Then this is another piece I did in 2006 called Panda Politics. Actually, it's also I came across an article on the internet about the Chinese government is going to give Taiwan to pandas. And but I mean, it's a long story. But in the end, what's happening is just before, I mean, the Taiwanese get so excited and because they never had a panda. But just before, when they're going to receive the panda, then they realize actually there is a trick. Because as an international law, if it's country between country, if they are exporting an animal, you have to sign kind of agreement, international animal agreement. But somehow the Chinese doesn't want to do that. Then Taiwanese realize if they are not going to sign that paper, then it means they are recognize China or Taiwan as a part of China. So I find it's a very funny story. I mean, because they are really. I mean, that's the one thing I think quite often it's really inspired me is nowadays I think the politics become a almost kind of game, I think, and I think the politics is really lost the sincerity and the passion which you used to see in the early 60s or 70s or 50s. And somehow nowadays I think the politics really becomes sort of very playful, gaming. So that's something I find is really quite a suit on my work. And this is also I did for last year, after the Olympic. Actually that was the project I did for Hong Kong Art Fair in September. Probably you can see from the title, actually it's you protect your airway. Because I remember there is a story, I'm sure everybody probably know, just before the Olympics started, I mean there is a big worry about the pollution in Beijing. And somehow the authority in Beijing came up with very interesting ideas. You know, they are going to stop all the cars running during the Olympics. And so I thought it's another way of interesting thing to do. You know, it's a short-term sort of solution, but there is no long-term. And so that's the really piece for that one. Then I think the composition is sort of inspired by the Tibetan mandala composition, and then of course the Olympic rain is built up by stickers. Then there is lots of story, actually Chinese story in that one, and then actually around them. All of this is a car, black and white car I cut out, so it's all parking around, so making lots of pollutions, but only that circle seems less pollution.